Calling the Type A EDC meeting to order. The time is 9 o'clock. And Gwen is going to give the invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you today for this day, the sunshine. We ask you especially be with the people that were in the floods, the lives lost. Be close to them, we pray. Be with us in the decisions we make today. May they all be pleasing to you. These things we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, President remarks. I'm just grateful everything is coming together and that we now probably have some good news on our industrial park out there. The rain has stopped a little bit and we can keep praying for the people who are missing in the flood and everything, that they can find them soon. And so that's all of my remarks. And City Admin.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. The RSK Trucking Company, which is right across from the high school, we finally got them all done and situated, and I'll give them their certificate of occupancy today, so they should be open for business. It's a large truck repair, paint body shop for semi-trucks, things of that nature. It's been a project in the works for a couple of years, but they're finally all done and ready to go. As far as all the home developments go, it's moving along pretty well. I believe we have 70 plus homes over in Ashton Home Place. We're about 30 something in the Canyons and Sunset Ridge. We did the final walkthrough a week or so ago and went through there, and there's still a couple items on their punch list. But once we get that finished, they've already turned in 20 homes to be built, and they're under plan review right now. So as soon as we finalize all the paperwork and get all the bonds in place, they'll be ready to hit the ground running. So things are looking up.
I have a question for that.
Sure.
So I've driven past the lift station down there, and it looks like they're still working on the lift station. So is that actually ready to go?
Right now, all they have left is they're doing like a concrete walkway around everything they put in. They should finish that today and pour it tomorrow, and putting a pad for a future, permanent generator. So that's all they really have left on the lift station.
Okay.
Anything else?
Okay. Anything? Anyone has any questions about anything else from our Economic Development Director there?
I'm done.
You're done. Okay. Public comments. Is there anyone that has a public comment?
Yes. I would like to invite Type A and the city and others who are watching to attend the Keene, the 32nd birthday celebration of the Keene Chamber of Commerce. It's Thursday, July 24, a week from tomorrow. And our guests are former World Old Time Fiddlers Association champion Robin Houghton and current Old Time Fiddlers Association world champion Ridge Roberts, and it's a 40-minute country swing concert. It's the third consecutive birthday celebration, pardon me, for us that they have presented this program. So a lot of door prizes, a lot of good food. So a week from tomorrow, July 24. So please RSVP, because I know you've all got invitations. Yes, Mr. Shred?
Will it be next door?
It will be, as it has been since 2018, in the Keene community, in the beautiful Keene Community Center. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Okay. There is no public hearing scheduled for this meeting. Okay, see. Review and discuss and consider the minutes of the regular Keene Economic Development Corporation Type A Board meeting held on June 18th of 2025. Does anyone have any questions about that?
I'll move the minutes of June 18, 2025, regular Keene Economic Development Corporation Type A Board meeting be approved as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Review and discuss and consider approval of the Keene Economic Development Corporation Type A Board budget for fiscal year 25-26.
I guess I'll kind of jump in here. We've been doing a lot of work in the finance department. I'm very thankful for Mira and her team and Carrie. I have the feeling that in the past, again, when you have a small team and a small staff and a rotating door, sometimes you're just scrambling to get things off a checklist. And in evaluating the finance department, it's kind of, that's the feeling that I have. And your accounting is supposed to tell the story of your business. And as I looked at the budget and the realities of our business, the accounting was not telling the proper story. And so it's a lot to revamp, redo, leaning on systems that really haven't been set up properly. And this is not a knock or anything. It's more just FYI. Okay. So this year, we're kind of paralleling what we've done in the past, but next year, Mira's been really setting it up the way it should be. The EDC and the A and B, next year we hope to present you with actual booklets out of ClearGov, kind of similar to those of you that have been on council, what you've seen last year. You will be getting that as well. But the accounting should be showing the objectives and then reporting back what the reality is, right? And so the big areas that you're going to kind of see different is we really started evaluating how much time are different people within our staff supporting and doing things for kind of this board. Now, they're round numbers. We're not going to get down to the cents and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I spend time trying to do things for this board. The finance department does, Holly does, you know, and I think a lot of focus has just been on Dawn, right? And so part of what we're trying to do is figure out what the reality is as we add layers to our city and support so that we can grow the different areas, because just throwing a body at a problem 9 times out of 10 doesn't fix the problem, right? So you have to build systematically and kind of have a plan. So we do have a plan as far as the city side of adding those support levels. You'll see in here that we did take some of Don out because he was kind of just A and B, and we took some of his salary out because in reality he's also supporting the city, right? So you'll see that there's some savings there, but then you're going to see some costs coming back in allocated to the additional people that support this board and their objectives. And the reason for that is because come next year, as we evaluate, instead of just saying, well, do we need to hire somebody full-time or not, the accounting will tell you what we should do. That's what accounting is supposed to do. So as you're looking through that, that's kind of the biggest changes. Obviously, we've added the line items that we discussed at the last board meeting. But what I feel is going to happen come next year as we get people trained up, because the reality is when there's something major going on in the city, Dawn gets pulled away. I mean, that's priority, and you know, and that's what I've seen working, side by side with him. So, so the goal is to get the financials reporting things accurately, telling the proper story, so that moving on next year, mostly next year, because right now we've got bigger things that we've been focusing on. And I don't want you to think that we don't appreciate you. We're limited by time. And so as we continue to work through these things, next year, I think you're going to see a completely different way of presenting, especially with this awesome tool we have, ClearGov. We're setting that up properly so that, again, it will be more helpful in the reporting side. And I think next year, I think we'll be able to make the case that A and B needs a full-time person. Because I can't look at Don and say, well, you didn't do your job for the A board, because he's doing his job. But if I have someone that's designated to development and those types of things, now I have an individual that I can look at, hold accountable, and say, this is your job, right? But when things are blowing up in the city, thank God we have Don, Don and Derek, So, anyway, that's kind of all I have for now, so.
Have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
One of them is, we're separate boards. I know A and B are separate boards, and we are separate from the city. Why aren't we treating them that way? Why are we thinking that we're serving at the council's behest? Because really, we get our taxes and our income based on the percentage of taxes that we receive back. So we should be treated as a separate entity, completely as a business, as a profit business. And we don't need to be hanging on to a bunch of extra money that is left over at the end of the year. So that's another thing I want to cover is I don't see a line item in here for improvements at the industrial park or whatever it is we might have coming up. And so we need to spend that money on behalf of the citizens of Keene.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I agree with you. Your rainy day fund, certain money, we want to make sure stays in the bank. I had the same conversation with B-Board yesterday. That is money that, when it sits in the bank, is not being utilized for our citizens. And it's the same thing. A-Board and B-Board, yes, they're separate, but at the end of the day, they have the same goal. A-Board is to bring tax revenue in. B-Board is to create a town that people want to stop in to spend their money. Yes, it's to better the community, obviously, but when you have things in place, beautiful parks, and people stop, and then that helps the A-Board. So those A and B, and again, Wes, a large part of it is because the city's been so understaffed and everything that we haven't been able to have a consistent drive towards a goal.
I'm not trying to get ahead of you. I know you've been working on this, but at the same time, we need to keep that in mind. And the other thing that I have, a couple other things I have a question about. Our legal services, we've got $20,000 in there. Are we spending that kind of money
Yes.
for legal services?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And is there a reason that we would be needing to spend that kind of money in the future?
I sure hope so. Because
Okay.
if businesses are coming in,
Okay.
they're the ones looking over the agreements and the contracts and those types of things.
So we'll have professional
My-
help there.
My hope is that, again, if we do things the right way, and with houses being built, businesses are going to come. And so, I could give one example right now is that police building, thank goodness for them. Because they've been very helpful in getting that taken. I mean, my first month here, I was very thankful for the attorneys.
Yeah.
So yes, the answer is, my hope is that we spend every dime of that, because if we're spending it towards economic development, that means revenue for the city.
Okay, and I'm sure that you and Mira have a pretty good handle on this, but Also, our projected revenue, is that really what we're going to have? Or because of the continued growth in Keene, would we expect more revenue?
You're okay addressing that, right? When we get to the slide, the revenue he's asking about? Yeah. So that's part of what we're going to go through.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's the end of my questions. Thank you.
Yeah.
My question was, on the attorneys, now, I know the city has their attorney, but does the A and B board have another attorney that specializes in that? Or how do we decide which one we're going to use?
So the reason, when I was interviewing different law firms, the reason I was very thankful that that the council agreed to go with Messer was they have a very deep bench. In the past, we kind of had a general attorney that they weren't really specialized in all the different areas that we need. Messer and Fort, all they do is municipalities. That's all they've done for 30 years. So they have 27 attorneys. And so every time I get an attorney, they send it to me, the bill, I literally go through there and I mark out, what is council items, what is development, what is open records, and I literally go through there because I want to know where that money's being spent, because that also allows me insight into where some of maybe our weaknesses, okay? So they have attorneys, I think it's 27 different attorneys, and they all kind of specialize in different areas of municipal, including EDC A and B.
Okay, so then do we still need the separate attorney? Or do we not still have the two separate attorneys?
No, we only have the one law firm that's only municipality.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I know there used to be
Yeah,
different.
no.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we
On
can
the-
go ahead
the
and
budget there?
flip through the slides here real quick. So I don't know if any of you, we showed these at the council or the budget workshop meeting, because again, in business, you want to know where your revenue's coming from. It's important to know who your clientele is. Well, obviously in our city, it's our wonderful citizens. And so to understand the demographics, if you look, this is kind of a year-over-year comparison, and I'm glad because these slides will kind of become the benchmark that we evaluate every year. If we're doing our job well and doing it right, we will see this improve. Now, this isn't necessarily an improvement. This is just more of a makeup of who our citizens are. So you'll see that family, now our population increased, not a lot, but again, we didn't have a lot of homes built last year. But it still went up, 270-ish residents. So you'll see that family slightly went down as a percentage, and that doesn't necessarily mean that families are leaving. It means the other demographics outweigh that, okay? So the biggest increase, I shouldn't say the biggest increase, the largest population is couples, okay? Is no kids, just couples, which tells you that it's probably younger people, okay, that are moving into the city. And with these smaller starter homes and those types of things, I think that's going to uptick. And the things that are going to be important to young people are going to be jobs and access to food, and, well, that's important to everybody, I guess. Hence, we all want a grocery store. And then, singles has gone up slightly too. So this is just more of a demographic slide, just to kind of give you an idea of who lives in our town. This is the one that is very telling. Year-over-year comparison, 23% of our population lives below the poverty line. And I think that's a very important number to look at. Again, bringing economic development to Keene is also going to bring jobs, which will help this number go down. That needs to be the goal of the city. And then your median income, okay, our median income in Keene is 50,000, which is actually dropping year over year. And again, jobs and everything will help this number increase. Compared to the average in the state of Texas is around $73,000. So when we look at, taxes and all that kind of stuff, every dollar matters to these people. Now, it's easy for someone to run and say, I'm going to run and lower taxes, okay? It's not as easy once you get on this side of things. So if you're going to lower a revenue, then you need to increase the revenue somewhere else. And so that's where, you can go to the next slide because it's kind of, thank you, Holly. If we really want to get serious about lowering taxes, then we really need to get serious about, and I think when people hear me say revenue, I shared this example with the B board yesterday. When I was a kid growing up, both my parents were church school teachers, and it was kind of beat over my head that money is the root of all evil. Well, they leave a word out. The love of money is the root of all evil. Money is a tool, and it's a very necessary thing to make our lives and our world go round. So I think when people hear me say that we need to go from being an expense-focused city to a revenue-focused city, I think that they think that means I mean we need to get more money out of the people that are already giving us taxes. That is not what I mean. The perfect example of this is just kind of a breakdown of our revenue. Obviously, property tax is the largest portion. But the next line is sales tax, and this is something that is very eye-opening. Our fire and rescue brings in more revenue than our sales. A normal city brings in 30%. We bring in 11%. And so if we want to decrease taxes and the strain on our citizens, then we need to really focus and bring that money up. And if we can do that, then, we can actually look at, because it's easy for me to say, what's $20? But if I'm below the poverty line, that's $20. So anyway, this is just kind of we want to educate so that all of our boards and our council and everybody's kind of on the same page for, again, I can't focus on the past. I'm not here to fix the problems of the past, but what I can do is say what the reality is and what are we going to do moving forward. So, is that the last slide? You'll have to forgive us. We've been really, really busy, and normally we kind of get together and collaborate, and poor B-board, we were all over the place yesterday, and I'll take responsibility for that. But anyway, so hopefully this kind of enlightens and gives you a little perspective to, and I think Mira's one of those that she wants to fix everything right now, and we have
Lady after my own heart.
and we have a team that we want to fix all these things, and sometimes we get so stressed. It's like, guys, we're not going to fix everything, today. It's going to take time, but as long as we have a systematic plan to move forward, I think in a few years we can look back and say, wow,
Good question.
John?
Go ahead.
Just to make sure, the revenue forecast that we see is about 348,000, right? That's the number that we're looking for.
Sorry, this
The
is
revenue forecast.
this is where I'll lean on.
348,000. Okay, and that one is based on, if I see correctly, the population that we have is about 2,000 households. That's what we have. But what is the population that we have right now in Keene?
Well,
6,000?
I actually did a kind of a Google search on it yesterday, and it said 7,600,
7,600,
inside
right.
the city limits,
Okay.
compared to the census back in 2020, which was 6,700.
And do we have any way to compare and say, hey, you know what, what should be the revenue based on this? Because I did some comparison and looking for a city of similar size or something, trying to see, what the revenue should be. And normally what I found is like it should be around the 600,000. It's a little twice as much as what we have. So if we say, hey, if our target is to get something like that, if that is something into what it could be, why is it that other cities about similar size and thing are doing in such a way that they can bring that one, or what's the influence for that one? Just trying to see what can we do in that direction. But just trying to see, what is our specific target? Do we say, hey, within the next 5 years, we would like to have something around maybe 50% more or 30% more? I don't know what the answer will be for that.
Jonathan, I want to commend you on your forward thinking and your accounting, especially accounting and forward thinking about the new businesses and stuff that would be coming into Keene. I think that will answer some of Ronaldo's questions, because we can't get the businesses in here if they're not willing to come. And it seems like now, with your direction too, businesses are more willing to come into Keene, which I'm very grateful for. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, I mean, we are, right now, my whole goal since being in here is to look at things and fix the foundation, okay, which we're making leaps and bounds. And this is all kind of behind the doors and those types of things. And really my goal is to fix as much foundationally as possible so that when we start the new budget year, we can hit the ground running as much as possible. Now, again, having a full-time person would be very helpful, but let's do things, let's not do knee-jerk reactions. Let's, again, build those layers and the foundation, so.
And Jonathan, and that goes to where I was going into my point that if we have maybe someone that is fully developing this opportunity, like you say, no part-time, but someone that is fully developing this, that then we may be able to see that. Because what I also see in the a comparison of the city budget in terms of whatever it is in the personnel side, personnel and administration, I mean, basically the other cities that have about twice as much, they have more than twice as much in the budget just for personnel and administration. So there are a couple of things, but I think it will be like an investment. You invest something, but it brings you a lot more. And that's what I was going into, how to size it up. But I like that you are already ahead of the game on that one.
And here's what I think it's very important that you hear and understand is, if we throw somebody in right now, okay, I've been a sales rep that was really good at what I did, go to a company that could not keep up with my ability, and it was very frustrating. And right now I also have to look at, if we all of a sudden if we go too fast, I don't have a public works that can keep up. That's why I'm saying it's important that we get the foundation laid and those layers in before we go and find someone really good at developing the city. So I need a little bit more time, so, because otherwise it's no fun selling when you're not ready. Sorry, Mary.
That is actually correct. I think this revenue chart does reflect what your findings were, whereas right now, as a total city, the budgeted amount for sales tax is 1.360. And that represents the 11%. And whereas in other cities, it's actually double that. So if you can see, that's what Jonathan was alluding to. Oh, no, this is it. I was just kind of like trying to point.
You want me to be your Vanna White?
No, it's fine. So in other cities, you know, in doing the comparison of Keene to similar sized cities and even bigger cities, what we see consistently is the breakdown of the source of revenue that is consistent. 60% usually is from our property tax, 30% from our sales tax, and 10% from other miscellaneous income. And if you can see where we are, it's actually flipped, right? The sales tax is bringing in 11%, where the other miscellaneous income, where other cities like 10%, we are at 31. So this actually reflects to the same thing as Mr. Rolando was saying, that Jonathan Seitzer is saying. We are saying exactly the same thing. If the question is, the revenue comes up to, what was it? 34, 3?
348.
Right, 348, that is literally just two lines. One is the sales income, because 25 cents is given to A, 25 cents of a dollar given to B. This comes to $340,000 a year. And the other line that makes up of our revenue is the interest. And we said it during council, we said it yesterday. This is looking a little bit better for this coming year because Kerry Warwick and our city manager secured a 4% return on our money market from Pinnacle Bank. So that is the only two lines we have as a revenue item like in for EDCA. The only way that we can increase it is if we have more sales tax revenue. Also, I think if I recall correctly, I actually projected it to be a little bit more. And then I look back and I looked at, okay, let me just see what our sales tax patterns have been for the past 4 years, 5 years. And it looks to me, let me just give you, I'm sorry, I don't have it up. I didn't think that was going to happen. So back in 2022, the budgeted amount was only $550,000, okay? And the actual number was 1.1. And then the next year, we budgeted for 1.2 when the actual number was 1.210. And then we went up and went 1.36. However, the reality, we only collected the same amount of taxes that we did last year. And this is what I think this is some of, I don't want to say frustration, but maybe it is. We can't just put numbers on there without knowing where we're going to get it from. And I think if you look through page 2, line item 300, I'm sorry, Don, and I'm kind of like going through your stuff. 300, 110, 6916, where it says business development and incentives. It's gone up last year, it was 17,000 if I'm not mistaken. We have increased it to 60,000 in hope, right? We are incentivizing, incentivizing business to come to Keene. And I think this would be one of our strategy, if you would like, how to increase people coming here, how to incentivize business, you know, the 3 people of your friends that we talked about last month. We want them to say, hey, come to Keene. We have something in place now. We have business incentive that we can actually give out to businesses, new businesses, whatever it is that is coming into Keene. So I think the way we're looking at it this year, Mr. Rolando, is that we're investing not in personnel yet, but in the incentive itself, right? We trust that God will do the increase while Don Martin plants the seed, Jonathan Seitz do the watering, and God will give the increase. We have to use, sorry, I know, like he always tells me, Mira, faith and hope is not strategy, but it is an agency. If we are looking for a city, I'm sorry, I'll have to get up my soapbox. If we are looking for a city whose maker and builder is the Lord, we have to put our effort forth and we have to say, Lord, you do the rest. And I feel this is coming up. We see the numbers of people coming into Keene. We see the number of rooftops, right? And if you watch the revenue budget workshop, the initial number that I have to bring down was 300, right? I said 375, but Dawn said, Mira, it was not 375, it's 300. Remember, Dawn? And Dawn went back out and asked now each developer, hey, how many houses are you going to build? 30, 20. So we said, okay, Mira, bring it down, be conservative. And we are doing conservative work. It's only 90. But let me tell you about my Lord. He is going to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can think, because it's his work, it's his city. So I think what we're trying to say, Mr. Rolando, is that we're going to choose to invest where we think is best. And that is to incentivize businesses to come. We're saying, welcome to Keene. We have $60,000 in the budget, come use it. And that's what we're saying. And in the meantime, we're going to continue to ask Dawn and John and Jesus to partner together. And we'll see what he will do next year. I'm sorry. Now I can get off my soapbox.
Thank you.
I have a question also. Well,
Yes,
or
sir.
or a comment.
Yeah.
So, having been a long-time
Yes.
resident of Keene, and for a few years I was gone, but I came first in 1969. So I'm
Wow.
kind of an old geezer type of guy, okay? And then I came back in 91 and built the library and dorm and everything.
Yes.
And Ms. Beeson has also been a longtime resident, and Ms. Gillen as well, a longtime resident.
Yes, sir.
We have been a no-growth town for many years. I mean, that was a dirty word in Keene, Texas. And thank you very much for looking forward and helping us keep up with the times and doing this and providing these kind of directions for us.
I almost fainted when we got 3 vape shops in Keene. We were begging for a grocery store, we got vape shops.
That's just proof that growth will happen with or without us.
Right, exactly.
Amen to that.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we want to try to direct some of it if we can.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Beeson.
I have a question. I know years ago, we used to contribute to Diane's salary, the Johnson County Economic Development person. Do we still do that?
Budget-wise, no, we do not. She's not with the county anymore.
That's
Oh,
great.
she's not. She probably retired by now.
I believe so, yeah. I don't know all the details of it, but the last 2 years, I believe, we didn't contribute to that, mainly because we weren't really getting anything back.
Well, I know we sometimes don't know what we get back from it, but Louis Vuitton is a good example of that. But
It is, yes. Yeah, she did help,
Yes.
with that deal, which was good for
Yes.
the area. It didn't really help our city much.
But Keene was pulled in to make it
It
look
was,
like
yes.
we did a lot.
Yes, it did, and it got our name out there, and I believe
Sure
it
did.
helped in that aspect of it. But daily, I get things from the DFW, EDC, I get things from the
Yeah,
governor.
I'm sure.
I mean, about businesses wanting to move to Texas.
Good.
The majority of them that we've been getting lately are not environmentally friendly that we would want in Keene,
Yeah.
or they would use 20 times the amount of water that we could actually produce
Yeah.
for what the type of business they need.
Okay.
So, I mean, I show them to Jonathan all the time, the ones that, look like, hey, this is a good possibility, and we've talked to a few here recently, those are still in the works, and
Yeah.
We
I
definitely want jobs
had
for
the question
our
about
citizens.
Diane.
We want something that can produce jobs. I mean, that's what we're looking for.
Question for Don. Last week at our Realtor Board meeting, we had the the new one, an Economic Development Director for Cleburne to come in and give us projection of what's happening in Cleburne and the surrounding areas. It was dumbfounding. I mean, everybody there couldn't believe what was happening in this area. I think it would be a good idea for you to meet him.
I have.
Oh, you
We've
have?
communicated, and he's sent me emails about, hey, you need to look at this, and.
Right, right. Well, there's a Builders Association luncheon today,
Right. So,
and he is going to be there if you wanted to go as my guest.
I would love to, but I can't today.
Okay. But he had some really good ideas that, we could implement here in Keene. And I just think it would be a real good idea.
We meet quarterly. We try to have a luncheon with all of the economic development directors in the county. And Jonathan went to one of
Okay.
them last month, I believe.
Well, and that might be things that the board needs to know, that you're doing that, because it helps us to know what you're doing too.
Okay. Not a problem.
Thank you. Anything else?
So does anybody have any questions if we go through this? I mean, we kind of did that at the last budget meeting, went line by line, and we made the changes that you recommended. The only thing I don't see on here that was County Road 317, the capital improvement.
Yes.
That's
That would have
why
been
I
my
see
question
this-
coming
this
up.
other sheet that we did talk about at the last meeting as well. And as you can see, that total is about $2.5 million to do the entire thing the way it should be done. I had our engineers look at it, and we spent a little money paying them. So what I did was I went through and I took a portion of, number one, the mobilization and bonding. I took a portion of excavating. I took a portion of right-of-ways. I took a portion of the culvert crossing. That's the big thing right now, is get that water off the road and into the bar ditches and the way it's supposed to. And then a portion of more grading, some riprap, which goes, not familiar with riprap, is just large chunks of rock that go to keep the erosion control in the bar ditches and at the crossings. And a portion of traffic control, a portion of erosion control, and then down in our engineering, some surveying, geotechnical. Inspection-wise, the city can probably do the majority of that, so knock that down. So basically, the number I came up with was $250,000 to get some of this done, and be the first step is to, get that road cleaned up, get the ditches cleaned up, widen the right-of-way a little bit, the fence lines, and get new culverts, bigger box culverts put in, even if the road stays road-based for a little while, until we get more revenue in. But that's kind of what we talked about. So that's, I set aside $250,000, if you guys agree to that, just for County Road 317, which will be a capital improvement.
So that would give us a deficit in our budget?
Yeah, it'll technically give a deficit, but again, we're pulling that money from additional revenue in the bank.
Okay.
So, and like I said, there's certain areas that I think it's important we spend the money, and A and B is those areas.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I'm good with that. So can we put that in the budget?
Was Larry Woolley ever spoken to about assisting in?
I think Jonathan did.
Down to the church, I think, is about as far as they were gonna go, right?
yeah, honestly, I have not had,
Okay.
it's still on my list. And I do like talking to him, so it won't be a problem.
So, this is a project that, if we set aside that 250, then I can get our engineers to go ahead, put a construction package together, then we'll have to go out for bids and, get bonds, and, that'll take time. So you're talking, 3 to 6 months once we get the approval and the budget is done. I mean, I can kind of have him start on the package already, because we do have some money from this year's budget for engineering fees, to get that started, and at least so when the budget gets approved, knock on wood, then we can, hit the ground running and go out for bids and do the sealed bids and get this project going.
So praise God for the rain we've had in July. This is the nicest July I've ever experienced in Texas, period. I drove that road this morning, and there are potholes in it again from the amount of rain we've had.
Right.
So I would like to see this stepped up as quickly as possible, because the people that attend Beal Baptist Church are our citizens.
Agreed. And I've actually been driving out there trying to, I'm just gonna have to come on a Sunday, I think. I keep getting out there to try to meet with somebody, and my car's not too bad, but man, if you're driving a pickup truck, that road would be awful.
So was there anything else in the budget that jumped out at you? Again, we tried to get everything in there that we talked about at the last meeting.
So does this become a line item then?
It'll be a capital expenditure line item, yes.
Okay. Then I'm in agreement.
So the total expense of this will be A boards?
I mean, I think that's a great idea because of the industrial park, and it'll give us that second entrance and/or exit to the industrial park. It'll make that land more marketable. It'll give us a place to put a sign, a nice sign out on 317 in the corner of Highway 67, because we do own that little triangle corner by Lee Products there. So, yeah, I think this is a huge investment.
Oh, okay, so talking about the sign, we need to salvage the rock from that house. That was a promise that was made to the previous owner. And even if all we do is find some laborers to take that rock down and clean it up later so it can be used for the sign, that needs to be part of what we're spending our money on.
And I looked back into that, and as far as removing it and saving it, that's not that big of a cost. It's cleaning it up. There's very labor intensive to get all that old mortar. And
I understand
stuff off
that.
of it.
I've done a lot of commercial building and used old materials for brand-new buildings. And some of the character of the older used products is actually what makes them great.
Hey, Don?
Yeah, I mean, once we, decide to move forward, and that was another thing that we really didn't have in the budget was some money to demolish that home, clean up that particular area as well. As far as storing the rock, we could probably find a place for it out, our wastewater treatment plant. I think we have room out there right now.
Just out of curiosity, because I'm not familiar with what it would take to clean a rock. So, like, we're partnering with the university again for their local projects for their students to beautify so they're going to be helping us, kind of redo the sign off 67, and they're going to be doing some painting for us and stuff like that. When you talk about, like, getting off mortar, is that something we could, I'm not talking about this year, obviously, but I'm talking about, like, is this a project that we could get the students to come and try to get the mortar and stuff off?
No, it's just like getting volunteers to help you build a church. 50% of them are going to help you build a church. They're going to save 50% of the labor. And if you get 8%, that's a high number. And it'll be the same thing with students doing this kind of thing, because that is not a nice job. You need to just hire some guys that are used to doing this kind of thing and know how to do it. And rock is rock, and you don't have to clean it up completely if we're going to do this. And I, for one, would like to see a little bit of character, because this came from a previous building.
Well, and this owner that built that house that Wes is talking about hauled that rock from Arkansas out here to build his house. There was a history behind it. And that's why the wife wanted to make sure that the stone was saved and some good use made of it, like our sign. And so that was a real important thing for her and for them. And it's beautiful. And it came from Arkansas. I was born in Arkansas. So, yeah, we need some Arkansas in Texas.
So maybe the paleontology department can be helpful with that.
If Mr. Trump doesn't export all of our laborers, then we'll probably be okay.
There's enough people wanting jobs, so hopefully that'll work.
Just a question. I remember the last time we talked something about maybe later on, probably looking for some grants. Like I'm thinking into, do we have any, not to apply maybe yet or anything, but have we identified any infrastructure grants that can be used to be ready whenever we're ready, jump into?
So, again, grants is near and dear to Mira's heart, and she understands them very well. And so a lot of what she's doing structurally in the finance department. Again, it's like if we hire that person before we're ready, we're gonna fail, right? It's the same thing with grants. And so the way our accounting was set up was not geared towards tracking. And the worst thing you can do is get a grant and then not stay in compliance, because then you get on a naughty list and it's harder to get them. But as the university's proven, and of course, God, they have more grants than, like, the rest of the country is trying to figure out how they have so many grants. But it's because they're organized, they're structured correctly, they know how to stay in compliance, and so it makes it easier to work with. And so, you know, we're trying to do the same thing, and once we are confident that we can handle, then we will get more aggressive. And so, but obviously there's gonna be money matching and that kind of thing, so we need to make sure that we're kind of trying to store some of that as well, so that when the time comes, we're ready.
Okay.
Okay. Is there
Well,
anything?
just the question was, what do we expect to be that time when the time comes? Is it, we say maybe within a year or something like that? Okay.
Like I said, Mayor wants to fix everything tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, yesterday.
Okay.
And she's already moved faster than I could have ever imagined or asked for. And so, you know, again, the goal is to see how much we can get done by the time the new fiscal year starts. That's the goal, and then we'll kind of evaluate, see where we're at, and, you know, and then we'll report back.
So I'd like to make a motion. I move that Keene EDC Type A Board approve the budget as discussed today for the fiscal year 2026 as presented and sent to the City Council for final approval. And is, as discussed, would that be acceptable?
If you could say, as presented,
As presented?
with adding the line item of the 250,000
Yes, okay.
capital improvements.
Adding the $250,000 line item for capital improvement.
Do I have a second? Second. Cody, second. All those in favor? Okay, it's approved.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any request for future agenda items?
You had some items in the past. Do we need to reintroduce those?
I really would like to have the session that we talk sometime about really looking at the components of the direction that we're taking. I think it will be really good to have some time and focus into that, at least to identify the key specific objectives, a few that we can say, hey, this is what we would like to get between now and the end of this year, and then that we can work together in a working session for that. I think
You need a workshop?
yes, I think that will be helpful.
No, well, and we are adding, we're trying to put money back in the budget for training, actual training, you know, and workshops and those types of things. So I'm 100% for it. My only request is, let me get through budget season right now. Next year, again, all the stuff we're doing right now will actually, it should streamline this process for next year. So we're trying to actually set things up correctly. We're putting putting it into our director's hands, you know, as far as we're taking a lot of duplicate items out. So we're not touching things 3 times. And so next year's going to look a lot different. And so we will definitely we will have more time for what you're talking about, strategy and those types, because that's the thing I enjoy talking about, you know.
So this wouldn't be on the next meeting then, is that what you're?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, if it's okay, let's look at kind of let me get through this fiscal year, and then we will work to get these things on the calendar and hit the ground running once we kind of know The rest of the money we're working
So
on.
next meeting, all we're going to do is approve this year, or this week's meeting.
Right now.
Okay.
We were putting in the budget the $60,000 for the business retention and assistant grant. Don't we need some guidelines? I know we had talked about working on that, so that would be something that.
I'm not saying we're not gonna have any more meetings. I'm just saying, I'm trying not to schedule any additional meetings with everything we have going on at the workshop. So that would
Right.
be something good to discuss, because, some of that money, I'll tell you the conversation we have. Businesses reach out to us and say, well, what kind of incentives do you have for me to bring my business to you? And Don and I kind of have to go, well, what do you want? Or we can talk about it, or, so it would be nice to have kind of some guidelines, so that, because here's the thing. If we spend all of it getting a decent business that's gonna bring jobs to this community, that's a home run, So, but again, this is your money, so we need you obviously feeling, and we're gonna have conversations if anyone comes, so, and I'm getting off, I'm starting to talk about, see, I love it. We can't talk about this right now because it's not on the agenda. So yes, let's add it as an odd item. Thank you, Holly.
Well, that's what, for the next agenda, that's what I was, just maybe a rough draft of maybe what a guidelines would be for this project.
Thank you. Ren, that's a good idea. Yes.
Check, check. All right, just a couple of things, guys. There was something that happened at our last council meeting, and people have been calling me, asking me, making comments on social media, et cetera, that had to do with the chair moving. And to make sure that you know what we're talking about, we all switched places at the city council. And we did it because when I was elected, I had something happen right away that really kind of threw me for a loop. And that was that when I was elected, I was told what chair to sit in. And I was told that, I need to put this politically correct, so let me think about it. I was told that the seating was because it needed to be that way, and that the mayor had people on her side, on her right side, and then people on her left side. You can draw the conclusion you want in between there. It bothered me. It bothered me a lot, because we should all be working together. We should all be seen by the public working together. And when we have 3 people over here, 3 people over there, and all the bickering gets in the middle, that's not very good. And I think that a guy that, Victor, that spoke at our last council meeting, he was a resident. He was really hard on the council, and rightfully so to some degree. But my point about this is that I wanted to see the public, the people that we work for, look at us and see us sitting in places according to what our wards are, wards and places. In other words, that seemed to be, to me, the most common kind of sense way to do it. Instead of, well, we have Rob and Chuck and Troy over here, and you know the dynamics of it. And I brought it up after a council meeting, I guess about 4 months ago, and nobody really wanted to talk about it with me on this side. The people over here did want to talk about it. So I kept trying, and I just came up with a plan that we need to do it according to wards and places, that everything from here on should be that way, even including the next elections and so on and so forth, so that it doesn't appear like we're trying to separate ourselves from each other. And it worked. So I'm proud that that happened. People have been asking me about it. I know that you wrote something on social media about it, and I just want you to know, do you have any questions about it? Do you know why I did it? I mean, do you understand why, is what I
I
meant?
understand why. Exactly.
Okay. I think it was a good idea.
We should never be divided.
Yeah,
We're
I
working
mean-
for the city. Every one of us are working for the city. It doesn't matter what I think. It's got to be a consensus. We all have to work together.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I agree.
Well, you know, one of the nice things about it, already, you know, in that meeting, we had, like Rob sits next to me now, and Rob could see that I was struggling with something, and I needed some information, and he just helped me. I mean, he just leaned over and helped me, and that to me was huge. There were a couple other things that have happened that I really don't want to talk about that support exactly what I'm saying. Because I don't want to name names. That's the only way. But, you know, for that reason, we wanted to do it. And the same thing, when I come here to your meeting, I'm coming here to learn. I'm coming here to listen and learn. And I want to bring some of that back to you all from the council, because I know y'all may not get a chance to come or to see it on TV, but there should be some talk about it. And if I can maybe get, you know, 5 minutes of your time each time, that'd be great. So just let me know which time you want me to speak, during the public hearing or now, or,
Mr. Chapman, I have one request of our council. If somehow, some way, I don't stay on the computer 20 hours a day, I have missed the last few meetings, I come to every one of them because I didn't know they were having them, or because I got here and nobody was here, they had changed it. There need to be some kind of a consistent time for the meetings to be, so you can put them on your calendar when you're busy with business people who are trying to work and trying to make the council meetings. Now, I understand everybody wanting it to be earlier for people to get there, later for people to get there, not during the lunch hour or whatever, but we do need to know when they're gonna be, and it needs to be solid so that we can make our plans.
well, I think what we have planned now, instead of having meetings once a month, we're gonna have meetings planned for twice a month,
Fantastic.
like it was before. However, we're gonna try to work to finish all the business that first meeting, because it's easier to cancel a meeting than it is to develop a meeting. We have 72 hours that we have to put out for the public, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we've decided to do there. It's just, if we can get through all the business the first meeting of the month, we're only gonna have one meeting that month, okay?
We're
That
Any other
trying,
questions?
makes sense.
we're trying to get away from midnight meetings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the only one that I was able to make that I knew was happening, it was almost midnight, and I had to have to leave halfway through it, but
The only thing I would say is when you, we don't elect new council people every year. That's why we have some that stay and some that go. It's a rotation. And so in your seating, that only makes good sense, is because the ones that are seasoned, been there a little bit longer, can help the ones that are brand new. And it's like sometimes you are hit in the face with a tomato with some of the things, that come up. It's like,
Right.
where did this come from?
You're right.
And the person that's been there a while can help smooth that out.
I also observed during the city council meeting, Chuck and Johnny Shaw talking about something. Johnny needed help with something. We're both new. So I think it's great that we have the ability to be able to talk to somebody next to us without everybody's thinking, what are they talking about? Are they trying to gang up on somebody? What are they doing? So anyway, the other thing I'd like to talk about, the city man, or the lawyers that we have. We're spending a lot of money on lawyers right now. I can't stand it, but what I will tell you is, it's been somewhat necessary
oh, yeah.
to do that. And what I want to tell you, we want to spend the money on lawyers to do jobs like what he was talking about, give us good legal definition and words to go on and grow the city, not to talk about who's right, who's wrong, and who's making mistakes and who's not. So I think that money will be cut down a lot in the near future. As far as what we're doing between the bickering, spending money on it, we had 2 attorneys there for probably 6 hours at, I don't know, what, close to $300 an hour? Each of them, it was $210, yeah, I think it was. So anyway, and we pay for their drive time too. So it's a lot of money, and I think that we'll be moving forward, getting that money better spent for our city. So last thing, Jonathan. I can't tell you how lucky we all are. I've been in big companies, big business, done a lot of work with him before I retired, and I can tell you, I sit with him once a week, and he's good. He's gonna be great for our city, so we better thank our sweet Bippy that we have him, so,
And we better.
yeah, so, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it, thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
So Mr. Chapman has asked for time on your meeting or an agenda. Do you want me to add the item to, like, the city administration, or do you want it under general business?
I'm sorry.
So Mr. Chapman had asked for time at each of your meetings, sort of as a council liaison, to come and speak.
Sure.
Is that something you want
Sure.
added to your?
Public hearing, or
Just a public,
Yeah, public hearing's fine.
listen to what's going on and then kind of get into it, but I don't want to change the rules.
I propose to be
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
I think if we can have it at the end, it will be very helpful.
When we request for future items, because then that way we might can address something that he wants.
Well, it's more like a report or
Right.
communication. It's not really a request for future agenda items. I mean, right now it is, but I'm just trying to figure out how to put this on your agenda so that it's not a possible
Well, after
or perceived
reconvene into
violation.
open session, in case we have one, can we just add a letter there for,
additional public meeting,
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you
additional public comments.
well,
public
not
comments
additional,
on
just
there? Or,
Council feedback.
council opinion or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I can add it there just.
And just put
for-
it there, and that way if Mr. Chapman can't be here sometime and somebody else wants to, we'll have a place for them.
Okay, okay.
And I'm trying to encourage other councilmen to come to the meetings, like myself,
Well,
but they all have jobs.
that will be perfect, so long as we don't get every one of them and we're here till midnight. Just one at a time, please. Thank you, Bob, that's a wonderful idea. We're glad to have you here. Okay, anything else for future agenda items? Okay, meeting is adjourned at 10:07. Thank you.